Jay Bilas, ESPN college basketball analyst, got the draft coming up tomorrow night. And, when I first thought about having Jay on, Jay sent out a tweet earlier this morning, and it had to do with Len Bias. On this day in 1986, the great Len Bias died. He was one of the greatest players I had ever seen. Simply amazing Superman on the floor. And Jay was, I believe, at Duke still at that time when you faced Len Bias. Jay, kind enough to join us. What do you remember about Len Bias, the player?
Well, we were in the same class, so we graduated the same year and played 4 years against one another. And he was friendly with a few of the players on my team, with Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker. All grew up in the D.C. area. And I remember him being Superman, honestly. And he was unstoppable. Had just a spectacular athlete with a chiseled body, and he could really shoot it. He was a great jump shooter. And a two-footed leaper. I think a lot of people remember. I think Maryland was the first team to beat North Carolina in the Dean Dome when it just opened up. We played the first game in there, but they were the first team to win. And he had scored a bucket, then made a steal and a reverse dunk. That he did stuff that was iconic. And there were three players in the ACC back then that I felt were better than anybody. One was Michael Jordan. The second was Ralph Sampson, and the third was Len Bias. That's how good he was.
And I mentioned earlier in the show, I covered that 1986 draft, and I remember Lenny had that white suit on. He had a big smile on his face. And you bring up he was great jumping off 2 feet. Dominic Wilkins was that way. There's certain, leapers who were great off 2 feet. And I said, I know that, people might try to make the comparison of, Bias and Zion Williamson, but Lenny was more of a finished product. He was a better jump shooter. He was equally as explosive here. But it is interesting that we're looking at Zion. Did we lose Jay? Fritzy? See if we can locate Jay. That was a big buildup to my next question there.
You are on a roll there.
I was on a big roll there.
Great setup, Dan.
Yeah, it was.
Hello?
Yeah, I know.
That was Emmy. That was the Emmy Hammer question.
I know.
Golly.
That's where you win a sports Emmy, right there with that question. And then we have to remove Jay's question from hello.
Or is Jay saying hello?
Hello.
You're totally right.
No.
Hello, of course.
No, Jay would have said hello.
Hello.
I had a big build up there, Jay, and then you dropped a hello, so it kind of lost its impact. But
I fell asleep.
My bad. I was talking about how, that I could look at comparisons, even though that Lenny was more of a finished product and a better jump shooter than Zion. But, we're looking at these explosive guys coming into the league. And we were talking about, is there a way that Zion can be a disappointment because he can't live up to what our expectation level is of him? He could still have a great career and still not live up to what we think he should be.
Yeah, I guess only if he gets hurt is the thing that I would say. Look, Zion's not the shooter that Len Bias was, but he's done things. He's the type of player, I've never seen anybody like him. And you can't take your eyes off him. He's way more explosive than Bias was, way bigger. It's remarkable. I mean, he's got the best player efficiency rating that we've seen since they've been keeping this stuff, and that includes guys like Anthony Davis, just because he's a better scorer. But look, Zion's going to be great. I don't have any doubt about that as long as he stays healthy.
But I was mentioning that he could be a left-handed Blake Griffin.
Yeah, maybe. I actually think he's a little bit better than that, but we'll see. I mean, look, I don't think Blake Griffin did the things that Zion did. Zion's a far better passer. Blake Griffin didn't block shots like he did, didn't get steals like he did.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly athletically when he gets near the basket, but he didn't put up those kind of numbers. And Griffin was great. But Zion's a different breed. He can handle the ball. His IQ is off the charts passing wise. Even Griffin turned into a pretty good shooter.
Yeah.
So I think Zion can get there. He's never going to be Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. I'm not suggesting that, but he's going to be able to make consistently a standstill jumper, and even got better as the season went along. But he's just got this it quality about him. And when I saw him play in Canada, I'd seen everything in high school, watched him play, all that stuff, but it didn't resonate with me like it did once I saw him in Canada playing against men. over the summer, and you're going, man, this is different. And I remember calling folks at ESPN saying, we better gear up for this because this is different, and we better have a camera on him in warm-ups because players can dunk in warm-ups now in college. The NCAA has given up on their Amish attitude about warm-ups. They're going to break a rim. But you want to have a camera on him in warm-ups because he's going to do things that you just haven't seen.
Is there a chance that Ja Morant is a better pro?
Of course, yeah. And that's the one thing all these years, Dan, you've been doing longer than me, but because you're much older. But the one thing that I've learned over the years is we are going to be wrong, and we're going to miss out on guys. Like nobody knew Kawhi Leonard was going to be this good. Nobody knew that Draymond Green was going to be this good. Nobody saw Pascal Siakam going to be all this stuff. So, just because we believe we know what the draft order is, and then we get locked into our minds that, okay, this is where everybody's ceiling is, we don't know. And that's I've come to take that as the beauty of it, that I almost enjoy talking about the guys I was wrong on more than the ones you were right on, because it's fun as hell to go through this process. But I oftentimes, I'll look at the NFL draft and go back and look at where players were projected, what was expected of them. And what I've found is that the NFL makes as many, if not more, mistakes than the NBA does on draft. And they have 5 years to look at those guys. It's an inexact science. And it's not even, you can't even call it a science. It's probably more of an art. And you just try to get as much information as you can so you make the best possible decision. But you can't, you have to accept that guys are gonna come out of nowhere and explode and be better or worse than you thought.
Who was your biggest whiff you thought was going to be great, didn't turn out to be?
Did I lose you again?
Jay?
Hello?
Just don't curse.
Yeah. Bring his phone down. Is this Bilas' phone?
Hello?
Just got disconnected again.
Hello?
That was another great question. I'm dying to know who
It was.
he missed, too.
Somehow when I ask these tough questions, his phone goes down.
Maybe his phone's not used to hearing good questions on interviews.
Wow.
Oh, no offense.
No, don't do that.
I'm just kidding.
No, we're good with the mothership.
We're great.
Oh, everything is good. Kumbaya.
By the way, Jay, do you want to play the Jay Bilas game?
Okay. What is the Jay Bilas game?
Is it Jay, Jason, or other? Because he goes by Jay.
I'm going to go other.
Anyone else?
I got other.
Okay.
I'm going other two.
All right.
I go Jay.
Ooh.
Straight up.
Jay's going to have to answer if he gets back on.
Okay.
Hello? I'm not sure why I found that so funny, but it's hilarious.
I think we got to get just that drop where Jay Bilas goes, hello?
Hello?
Supposed to be on a radio show.
Hello?
Fritzy's working on Jay Bilas. I put him in the cone of silence.
I would have bet he was going to go with Mike Dunleavy as the guy he got wrong. I'm trying to think. He loves Duke guys.
We're going to try it again. And Fritzy has brought back Jay Bilas. Jay, every time I ask a good question, which isn't often, your phone somehow drops out.
Yeah, this narcolepsy is killing me. I think it must be I'm getting text messages while I'm trying to talk on the phone, but I apologize for that.
Okay, I got two more questions for you. And one is the biggest whiff you had on a draft pick was who?
The biggest whiff was Dwight Howard. That back when that was the second year I was doing this after the LeBron draft, and I was still in the old school thought of, wait a minute now, high school players, come on, and I thought he was unskilled, and I was unsure that he would become a skilled player, but I didn't account for his athleticism, his world-class athleticism trumping any lack of skill, and it trumped it. So, I mean, you look back on that going, well, what an idiot. How could I have thought that he should be, maybe question him as the number one pick, but I got over my sort of old school bias against high school players pretty quick after that.
Paulie said that we were playing a Jay Bilas game here. Jay, would you listen up? Paulie will tell you the rules here.
We're trying to guess your name.
Okay.
Jay, Jason, or other, your actual birth certificate first name.
And I went other. McLovin went other. Fritzy went other. Seaton went Jay straight up. And Paulie already knows the answer. So, Jay, could you help us?
It is Jay straight up, and I have a middle name. My middle name is Scott with one T because my grandmother on my mother's side emigrated from Scotland, so that was a clever way of getting my driver's license to never be right for the rest of my life.
Jay, thank you. Have fun at the draft tomorrow night, and it's always great to talk to you.
It can't be fun without you there, Dan.
Thank
that was
you.
the most fun a guy could have at the draft.
But do you remember when Stephen A. Smith stopped talking at the end of the first round with what Portland was doing? And he goes, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what the Blazers are doing. I got nothing to say. And I'm going, you're the analyst. You got to have something to say. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I also remember when my good friend Tom Tolbert, in the middle of something, said, I've never heard of this guy. I don't even know why you're asking me.
Prior to the draft, Jay, I had somebody come up and say, do you know about Brandon Roy? And I go, what do you mean? There's some teams that don't know that knee is shot and they should not be taking Brandon Roy. This is another agent who told me this prior to that draft.
Well, I knew about that. I knew that the knee was an issue, but I was told it was going to be a number of years before it would be, sort of a career-ending issue. And I ranked him second overall that year. That was one of my few hits because he was an extraordinary player,
yeah.
but he was certainly worth the risk.
He's Jay Scott Bilas Jr. III. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, guys. Great to be with you.
That's Jay Bilas.
Hello.
Hello.
Dan?
ESPN college basketball analyst, Jay Bilas. Hello.
Well-worded question, thought out, weaving in history and the current players of the game. Hello?
Yes, Fritzy.
He's such a good guy. He feels genuinely terrible that if someone was kind of calling in and cutting him off, some people, they're, oh, well, and they just hang up and that's the end of it. But he was truly bothered that happened.
No, he basically ruined the segment.
Hello?
There's nothing worse, though, when you ask that question and you think it's a good question and then there's no answer. And then you realize you got like 2 seconds where you go, man, he's really thinking about this. And then it gets to the third second and then you go, oh, he's not there.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.